Hello there and welcome into Zoo TV. I'm your host, Channing Reid, and tonight we are going to welcome a very special guest with us this evening, Tajianna Okechukwu. She is the president of the Black Student Association. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yes, of course.
Well, so if you could talk a little bit about BSA. This is the Black History Month. So what is BSA's purpose on campus?
BSA serves to foster community between Black students on APU's campus. It's a place for Black students to come and feel a sense of belonging on campus, but it's also a place for non-Black students to come and learn and be educated and just be surrounded by different perspectives through the Black lens, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
and so when do you guys have weekly meetings? When is that?
Yeah, so our weekly meetings are every Thursday at 7:30. Right now we are meeting in Wing 2. Sometimes the room changes, so just stay on the lookout for any updated notices about that. But we are meeting in Wing 2 currently weekly at 7:30 on Thursdays.
What's the history of BSA? Are there any information on the founding members? How did you guys kind of come about?
Yeah, so BSA was founded in 1971, and the reason that BSA became birthed was because of discrimination between student athletes. And so there were a group of Black student athletes that were being penalized for something against student code of conduct that white students were also participating in synonymously, but the Black students were being punished at a much higher cost, so threats of expulsion and being suspended, while the white students weren't receiving any repercussions. And so BSA sort of became a callback to that discrimination, and it was birthed a few years after MLK's assassination. So that's sort of how it came about on APU's campus.
And how big is your group? How many people are in the association right now?
Yeah, I would say we definitely have a lot of more people on the email list than come to the meetings, but I'd say on average about 40 members.
Okay, and do you have to apply to be in that? Is there some sort of...
No, you just sign up. We have a sign-up sheet that we usually have when we have meetings or events that people can put their email down, and we just add them to our email list, and you can just come to our meetings and events. And also, you don't have to be on the email list to participate, but we do encourage people to sign up so that they can receive all the great information, as well as following us on Instagram at IamAPUBSA.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Tajianna, what are your thoughts on Black History Month at APU?
Yeah, I believe that Black History Month at APU is a tricky thing because I feel like on a larger scale, it may not be as widely recognized by the university. But on the other hand, I want to say that definitely within the individual departments. So I'm also an intern in the Student Center for Reconciliation and Diversity, and we definitely have workshops and programming and events that happen within Black History Month, as well as the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Excellence. They also have events and things that they put on, especially for faculty to go to as well. And we do have Diversity Value Series Week this month, which is sort of incorporated into Black History Month.
Right.
But Black is not in itself diverse. There are other things that you need to add to the table in order for something to be considered diverse. But I feel like those are some efforts to try to be more culturally aware on APU's part. But I do say that there is a lot more work to do to be able to recognize Black History Month, whether that's in the classroom or specifically in chapel or things like that.
And what do you think about on a national scale? Do you see that same type of thing here that you see at APU on a national level?
I would say definitely not. I feel like Black History Month is celebrated more so definitely at HBCUs. And if you don't know what a HBCU is, it's a historically Black college or university. And definitely more places that are, whether that's in the South or like places that have a larger population of Black students, I feel like it's definitely more celebrated and recognized, and that can't just all be on like the Black students' part, but it has to be interwoven into the university's sort of values. If that's something that the university values, they're going to try to incorporate it into multiple different facets.
And you mentioned a diversity week here at APU. Do you know when that is, this month?
Yes, so it is actually the week of expressions. So I believe it is February 11th through the 15th, which will be, is that next week? I think it's next week.
Yeah,
Next week. Because expressions next week. Oh gosh, okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's next week, and basically Diversity Value Series week during chapel, which is the main focus, and they make sure during this week that each speaker is a person of color, so that the university and student body are exposed to seeing someone preach a sermon who they may not typically see. So they strictly, definitely focus on that during Diversity Value Series week, as well as throughout the year too, but especially during this week. They have a lot of programming and different things. I'm also speaking on a panel that will be on tomorrow. So there's things that the university does throughout the month to try to engage in conversation.
Okay, so you mentioned expressions. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, expressions is the biggest event that BSA puts on all year. Each ethnic org has an expressions night that they sort of do. So for instance, LASA did Sabor Latino. PIO is doing their luau in a few weeks. Oh gosh, everything's coming up so quick. PIO has their luau in, I believe it's March. And so expressions is just a night of performances. We get to eat food together, break bread, and just enjoy culture, community. It's Friday the 15th at dinner's at 7. The show starts at 7:30. It's going to be in UTCC. We always have a great turnout, so we're expecting a lot of people from off campus and on campus as well. So come out. It's going to be great.
And then in addition to expressions, are you guys, the BSA, doing anything else during Diversity Week, or just Black History Month in its entirety?
Yeah, so for Black History Month in general, we sort of like to collaborate with other organizations or things that are already participating in celebrating Black History Month. So for instance, the California African American Museum in LA will be having some exhibits open, so we're going to try to take some of our members on the weekend. Also partnering with like Citrus's, BSU, and other BSUs and BSAs in the Southern California area to go and support their events, as well as during apart from our weekly meetings, we are also having a Spirit Week during Expressions, which is also Diversity Value Series Week. A lot going on, so much fun. So we're having members participate in something each day. So for instance, Monday is going to be Blackout Monday. So all of our members will wear black and we'll take a picture after chapel. Wednesday is like Woke Wednesday. You wear your favorite woke apparel. I have like Harriet Tubman on my t-shirt right now.
So what's woke apparel?
Woke apparel is any type of clothing that shows off just like some cultural sayings, some like conscious sayings, you know, Black is beautiful. I have this one that says we out, and it's Harriet Tubman. So just different things like that, or like any African attire also, just to show like appreciation for your heritage as well. Yeah.
So Tajianna, if you could explain a little bit on this question. What is your thoughts on being Black and Christian? What is it like to be Black and Christian in this current political environment right now?
Yeah, I think it's a struggle for sure, but I think if you are very much rooted in faith, you sort of know the truth. And for my personal faith journey and my identity, I know that my Blackness was not by accident, and that God has intentionally created us, you know, how we are for a reason. So I very much like to delight in the fact that I am Black, and I think it's a big part of how you know, you hear about stories of diversity in the Bible all the time, and I think sometimes you know, in Christianity, we forget that, and how, you know, Jesus was an advocate for so many marginalized groups, and I think we often lose sight of that or make it more of a political discussion rather than a faith-based discussion. But I definitely think that being Black and Christian is something that you should take pride in, and it's not something to be ashamed of at all, for sure.
And on that note, do you have any African American heroes or individuals that come to your mind when you think about Black history?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. Harriet Tubman. Yeah, so Harriet Tubman, I'm going to say one hero from the past and one from the present. Harriet Tubman, I feel like I fell more in love with her story after I went on Journey to Sankofa. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a civil rights tour that not BSA, but Norris Spagner and Danielle Harris sort of started, and they take Black students and other students as well and faculty on each summer to learn about our history and where we come from and how that relates to how we got to where we are today. And so we went to the Jim Crow South and went to so many museums, so many restaurants, and in one particular museum, I got to learn more about Harriet's story and how not only did she lead so many slaves to freedom, but in addition to the Underground Railroad, she also was a nurse, so she was helping babies at the time. She had made some type of concoction that would help babies fall asleep so that they wouldn't cry when the slaves were trying to run away from slave catchers. And she also was a spy for the Union, and she's on the CIA's list of classified list of top female spy. And so I just was so inspired by how many roles she played back then, and just her whole story and her legacy. I think we often take it for granted, but it really is baffling when you sit back and look at it. And another Black female leader, Ava DuVernay, she is a director, and she is breaking a lot of barriers with the stories that she's telling. She directed the documentary 13th that talks about, Black men in mass incarceration, and she's the first Black female movie maker to produce a movie with $100 million budget, and that was with her latest project, I believe, A Wrinkle in Time. And so that's just inspiring for me as an aspiring director to see another Black female who's already doing it in the industry. I have someone who is sort of laying the footwork and something to look forward to and work towards, so she inspires me every day. But
well, Tajianna Okechukwu, thank you so much for joining us. The President of the Black Student Association, on behalf of Zoo Media and myself, we want to thank you for taking your time to sit in and talk to us for a little bit.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Channing Reid.